Hi, I'm Dr. Jeremy Pollack. I'm a social organizational psychologist with a specialty in peace and conflict psychology. I'm also the CEO of Pollack Peacebuilding Systems. We're a nationwide conflict management consulting and training firm. I also have about 25 years experience instructing martial arts, all kinds of self-defense techniques for police, military, and professionals. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different than our normal conflict resolution techniques. We're not going to use necessarily only verbal techniques, but we're also going to use physical techniques to escape or hopefully control against a physical attack. This is meant for healthcare workers or other professionals in office settings, healthcare settings that are dealing with a potentially aggressive physical person who they want to either escape from or control in some manner. So we're going to use some very basic, simple self-defense techniques today that hopefully anyone can use in order to keep themselves safe and control the situation. So I want to talk first about just a general framework we're going to follow in order to use self-defense in a practical way. The framework was called WOMB, W-O-M-B, and it stands for Will, Opportunity, Mobility, and Bodily Function. These are the four legs or the four pillars of any attack. Anyone that is going to potentially physically assault someone needs these four pillars in order to carry out an attack. They need at the very least the will to carry out an attack, their willpower, their motivation. They also need opportunity. So there needs to be close contact with the person. There needs to be an environment in which they can actually touch the person. They also need mobility, the ability to move their legs and their arms to carry out an attack. And of course, they need bodily function. In other words, breath, blood, brain function. They need to be conscious in order to carry out an attack. So if we take any one of these away, we stop an attack. So today, we're not going to look at bodily function. We're not going to try to attack someone's bodily function. That would require us to essentially take away their consciousness through taking away their breath or their blood or their brain function. And that's just not really appropriate in a professional setting. So we're not going to look to injure anybody. In this setting, we're assuming that someone is maybe attacking us because they're afraid or they're just agitated. Maybe they're intoxicated. Maybe they're having a mental episode. Whatever the case, we're not trying to injure someone. We're just trying to either get away from the attack or we're trying to control someone. So we're really going to look at how to decrease someone's willpower, how to decrease someone's opportunity, or how to decrease their mobility and control them in some way in order for them to stop the attack and for us to wait for help to arrive. Okay, so I have my assistant here, David. He's gonna help us out with some of these techniques. The first thing I'm gonna do is try to decrease his willpower in order to stop the aggression rather than have to run away or to control him in some way and get physical. Hopefully to this point, you've already done some verbal de-escalation skills. We're gonna move into a different strategy here. We're not gonna use that same verbal de-escalation, care, empathy, perspective taking, etc. Instead, we're really gonna help him try to self-reflect and set some boundaries with him in order to help him realize what he's doing maybe in the moment, become self-aware in that moment, and then maybe hopefully stop the aggression, stop the attack. So when we're looking at will, remember, we have to discern in every moment which level of severity or which level of attack, will, opportunity, mobility we want to go to. In some cases, it might be appropriate to just skip willpower and go straight to I have to control someone if they're attacking me, etc. But if someone's not doing a full attack or doing something that's super dangerous, then maybe I just decrease their willpower in some way. So in order to do that, again, I'm going to try to help him self-reflect. I'm going to get a little loud and I'm going to set some boundaries. And again, it's important that at this stage, it's a very low severity attack. It's not a real dangerous attack. Now, one more thing I want to say before we start doing some of the techniques, safety always has to come first. It's always a priority. So whatever is going to get you safest in that moment, that's what's most important. Again, you have to discern in each moment what's most appropriate. Do I want to use willpower to try to decrease the attack? Do I want to just escape? Do I want to control in some way? What's the most appropriate and applicable? This is a dynamic process, so it might change moment to moment. I just implore you to continue to be aware of the situation. Try to stay aware, be dynamic in choosing which option to take at any one moment. So the first thing is, I'm gonna have David just grab my arm and just a simple grab. Anytime anybody comes close enough to grab you, I want your hands up. Okay? So if he approaches me in an aggressive way and I start to feel a little unsafe, I want you to bring your hands up, and you can use these very casually, like as if you're talking with your hands. I just want your hands up. It shouldn't be down here. They should be up here. So if he comes forward to me and say, hey, listen, we're getting a little bit intense. Hey, we're listening a little. Okay, now he's grabbed me. At this point, when he grabs me, I'm gonna get a little louder and I'm gonna set some boundaries. And I also wanna use this moment to help him self-reflect. You're hurting me. You're touching me. You're not allowed to touch me. You're not allowed to touch me. Okay, so you want to do a little self-reflection. If this isn't working, then at that point, you also want to start thinking about calling for help and letting them know what else is happening. Okay, so watch. Okay, so he grabs me. You're not allowed to touch me. There's cameras watching you. Do you know that there's cameras watching you right now? Help! Aggressive patient, help! Okay? So we're going to help him self-reflect a little bit. We're going to try to get a little loud and make sure he knows what he's doing. If he's not responding to that, we start calling for help. Now, I would highly recommend if you could call for help, or you could use your radio or your phone. However you do it, you want to make sure you have a way of calling for help and what you're going to say. Help, I need help. Obviously, that's an easy one. You can also say there's an aggressive patient, something like that. All of these are options. I want you to start thinking about what options you're going to use and have a little protocol in the back of your mind that you would use in these cases. So you could even write that down if you want. Make sure you remember it. So if he grabs me, hey, you're not allowed to grab me. What are you doing? Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing. You're not allowed to grab me. He might start trying to grab, this is not okay. This is not okay. There's cameras watching you. Do you know that? Okay, so like we're gonna start doing that. See if he can stop the attack at that point. So we're gonna get a little loud. We're gonna do some self-reflection, hopefully. And then hopefully that stops the attack, or he stops doing what he's doing. And then we can start to use de-escalation skills again. We can start to use care, empathy, perspective taking, some of the things you've worked on in verbal de-escalation. Now, one way of decreasing opportunity is, of course, to just create distance, but another way is also to create obstacles in between us so that he can't grab me or touch me in some ways. So for instance, if there was a big hospital bed or a big piece of office furniture or equipment that I could put in between us so that he couldn't touch me, that could work. I could also step out of the room if possible and even close the door and not let him towards me if I needed to. That might be inappropriate. In some settings, you have to discern if that's appropriate, if that's okay protocol for where you're working. So you want to check in with management to see if that's okay as well. But in any case, we want to try to create an obstacle in between us, or we just want to create distance. So let's take a look at how to escape or break some of these grabs or holds in order to just decrease opportunity, create some distance, and get away from the attack. So one thing we're going to work on first is circling. So if he grabs me, let's say he just grabs an arm. Very, very easy. Do I have him grab a little harder? Good. So very, very easy. I'm just going to start circling my hand towards the thumb. Very easy to break this when I'm circling towards the thumb. Typically pretty easy to do so. So do it again. I'm going to circle towards the thumb. Okay? You can also go the other way. You can circle towards the fingers and typically break that as well. And that turns his arm upside down, which is a little bit helpful for me too if I'm going to do some arm stuff. But we're not going to do any arm stuff today. So if I just circle and I can push away and escape, that's some of my goal. Okay, I just want to circle, push away, and escape. Okay, keeping my hands up and getting away as fast as possible. Now let's say he grabs my lapel or my collar or something like this. And at this point, I'm not really concerned that much about ripping my shirt. I don't want to rip this shirt, but I'm not really that concerned if someone's actually attacking me. So if you grip on, one thing I can do, if he's not choking me and he's just grabbing the lapel or he's just grabbing my shirt in some way, I can reach up here. Again, I'm circling. I'm using the circle. I'm circling. I'm turning towards his arm and trying to break here. I have to do this kind of hard if he's grabbing on hard, and it might rip my shirt. So I'm just circling. I'm taking a step back with the opposite leg and circling down. Okay, so he grabs, and I'm just trying to circle and come back. Okay, so I'm just circling, turning that other opposite leg and pushing away. I can do the same thing on the other side. He's going here. I'm circling, turning away with this opposite leg and pushing back. Okay? So I want you to practice this a little slowly. Go here, circle, step back, other hand comes up, and step away, getting away. Okay? So again, using this circle motion. We can use this against grabs on the lapel. Now let's say he actually tries to choke me. Go ahead and start, put your hands here. Yeah, good. So this is an interesting one. This is actually quite easy to escape. All I want you to do from here is you're going to raise your shoulders to kind of trap his fingers between your chin and your shoulder. Okay, so do you feel this? Like that? Now, try to hold on tight. Hold on real tight. All I have to do is this. I just push this way. So I put my shoulders up, I trap them a little bit, and I just turn. Okay, so again, hard. Okay, very easy. Again, if I do this, stepping back, then my hands come up, and I escape. Okay, so no matter how he grabs me, I want to start doing this a little bit dynamically, and I'm going to use circles, circling my arms, or I can shoulders up, circle my shoulder in, and get away. Okay? So let's try this. Grab me anywhere you want. Circling, pushing away. Okay? Again, anywhere you want. Circling, pushing away. Circling, pushing away. Okay? So this is the idea. We want to work on circling. Now, if someone's going real hard, if they're going real hard and it's not working for some reason, especially if they're bigger and stronger, you can try different types of circles. It's not working, let's say. Sometimes, if appropriate, you have to give them a little tap. Maybe a tap on the rib, a tap on the groin, tap on the face, something like that. We're not trying to injure someone. We're just trying to get them to distract themselves so that I can circle out, okay? Sometimes that's gonna work great. Again, we're trying to decrease their opportunity by getting away and creating distance, and the way that we do that is by escaping, circling against some of these and escaping. Sometimes the aggression will be dynamic, it'll be fast-paced. The person will feel that I'm doing something and then transition to something else. So for instance, if he grabs, circling, and he goes for something else, I have to circle again. Okay, so I'm circling, I'm using this dynamically. Again, anywhere you want. Circling, okay? So we keep circling as much as possible and moving away. At this point, I'm thinking, how do I call for help? I want support. I don't want to be alone in this situation if someone's trying to aggress against me. Okay, so we've tried to decrease opportunity. We've broken away from a grab or a hold of some sort. We're trying to escape or create distance, and it's still not working, or we couldn't escape, or there's something in the way, or we don't feel leaving this person alone is appropriate. What do we do then? Now we have to move into that next phase, which is decreasing mobility. We have to decrease his ability to move freely, whether that means with his legs or with his arms. And I'm gonna go over a very, very simple hold that most people can do to keep themselves safe in a situation where we're trying to control someone. Remember, in order to carry out an attack of some sort, to grab you, to hold you, to punch you, they have to be able to move freely. They have to be able to move with their arms and with their legs. If some of those are tied up, it will be a lot less easy for someone to attack. Now, if you're security or police officer, for instance, typically the protocol is you grab someone and take them off their feet. This is typical self-defense. We want to get them off their feet on the ground and into a controlled position. For these purposes, especially in a healthcare setting, in a crowded office setting, or there's medical equipment around, or maybe dangerous things on the ground, it's not appropriate necessarily or very practical to bring someone off their feet and get them on the floor. That takes a lot of practice, a lot of technique, and I don't want to go through that today. So what I want to do is something that's very, very simple. I'm just going to practice something called rear waist control with an arm trap, okay? So I'll just call it rear control with a trap, okay? And this is what the end result looks like. Rear control means I'm in his rear, and a trap means I'm trapping one arm. I could trap two arms, but that's a bear hug, and sometimes that's a little easier for someone to get out of just by ramping up their arms in some way. So all I want to do here is I want to get behind them. I'm going to put my face towards the side that the arm is trapped on. So if I trap this arm, my head's on this side. If I trap this arm, my head's on this side. That way I'm protected from this elbow coming at me or something like that. Okay, so this is the control where I'm trying to end up. I'm going to use my grip here or my grip like this so I can have both hands together in some way, or really I like to do this a lot of times too if I can get my arms around that much, is to hold one of my wrists. So I'm going to do this and holding here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is a safe position for me pretty much. I can hold this pretty well, and the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I get this is not going to just stand there and just wait for something to happen next. What I'm going to try to do is I'm either going to try to sit with him, I'm going to lean over onto some equipment or onto a bed of some sort, or I'm going to put him against the wall and put some pressure on him there and just tell him, hey, we need to calm down. We need to calm down while I'm yelling for help, while I'm waiting for support to come. Okay, so again, here we are here. As soon as I do this, I'm going to try to turn and put him against the wall here. I want him to have an arm free too sometimes, because if I were to go to the ground by accident or trip or something, I want him to at least have an arm so he can put down and protect his own head. So that's important. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to lean against the wall here, and I'm just going to breathe right here and say, we need to calm down. We need to calm down. Help, help, aggressive patient. We need to calm down. If he keeps moving and it's hard, at this point, I might just take a seat. Just kind of drop my weight and take a seat. And he takes a seat, and I just stay right here. Stay here. Help, help. Okay? So this is where I want to get to. I want to have that rear control with an arm trap. If I have to take a seat, I do. If not, I can lean against either a wall or a bed or something like that. I want to put a little pressure on him while I'm engaged in that control and trap. Okay, so that's the end goal. That's what we're going to work towards. Let's work on some techniques. Okay, so we're going to start with our simple grab again. He's just going to grab an arm. And remember, we can circle and get away. We can also circle and go in, okay? So if I circle and go in, look what happens when I circle. If he grabs my arm and I circle, I'm immediately already in a place where I can start to trap that arm down, okay? So I'm gonna circle, and instead of going away this time, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in towards that arm, okay? Circling in. Look where I'm headed. I'm heading kind of in a 45-degree angle, almost like he's on the base of a triangle and I'm on one of the arms. Okay, I'm gonna turn you this way. So again, if he does this, and I circle and I come in, I'm using that triangle arm to come in, and I'm gonna start to come around him and get that trap. Okay? Turning my head towards the trap side, and here we go. I'm gonna push him in towards the wall, or have a seat, or push him against the bed, or something like that. Okay? So one more time, just really slow. He grabs. I decide it's not appropriate at this point to get away or to try to decrease his willpower, and I want to control. So he grabs me. I push inwards. I come to the side here, switch my hand, and here I am. Okay? I just want to get to this. Look at my feet. They're nice and wide. I'm not here. They're nice and wide. I have a good base. Really, really important. Okay? Let's try one more time. Nice and slow. Okay, that's what I want to get to. Now, what if he does the other one? What if he does the grab up top? I'm going to use that same thing. I'm going to circle in and I'm going to push. Notice what I'm doing now. I'd like to have control of this arm. And I know this is a little bit more complicated, but when I come in towards him and I've circled it down, it's here. I'm using that contact. I'm keeping contact and I'm coming in and controlling this arm a little bit as I move in. Turning towards the trap, and here I am. Okay? So one more time. All right. So circling, trying to get in towards that arm, trapping it the whole time, keeping contact with it, getting into my position, and finishing. Now here I am, leaning against the wall, sitting down on the floor, etc. Now, let's say he grabs my hair. So he grabs my hair, right? He starts pulling my hair, especially if I have longer hair, it's going to be a little bit easier to do this. This time, I'm not going to try to pull away because that's just going to hurt me more. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to actually trap it against that head and turning my hand, trying to get into this position. At this point, if he's not letting go, and I'm putting pressure on his arm or his hand in some way, he's not letting go, he can turn with me. I'm going to try to start to go towards his fingers and peel the finger back. If I get one finger, it'll be a lot easier. Just one finger is what I need. So he grabs the hair. Yeah, grabbing the hair, good. I'm pushing it towards him. I'm pushing it. If I need to, I grab one finger, I start to peel that finger back. Now, I've got an arm. I'm coming in, getting to my trap position. Okay, this is where I stay. I start to call for help. Help! I tell him to calm down. You need to calm down. You want me to let you go? I need you to calm down. Okay? So, again, he touches the hair. I trap it. I turn it down. If I need to, I start to peel the finger back. You can actually grab the hair. Yeah, trap it, push it hard down, and at this point, I'm going to start to try to peel a finger as much as possible, get it off, and then I use my trap. Now, let's work on if someone is actually trying to strike me. A couple of things when someone's striking me. I want to make sure that I protect my head. My teacher used to say, protect the coconut. You need to protect the computer. The computer is the thing that controls the whole body. If your computer shuts off, the body shuts off. So we need to protect the computer. So if someone starts, remember, my hands are hopefully up at this point a little bit. Someone starts to throw wild punches at me and starts to punch me, my hands are going to come up. There's different ways to put your hands up and protect yourself in a scenario where someone's trying to attack you with their arms. One way is we can lift up and kind of make a rhino. We can also cover our head this way, kind of the mummy. And I like to do something called a spear, where one hand is up protecting my jawline, and the other one comes up here to protect its attacks. And while I'm doing this, this shoulder raises above my ear. This makes it very dynamic for me to come in where I want to be and start to get to a trap. Okay? So if he starts to attack me, my hands are up. I'm hands up here. He starts straight wild punching. There, wild punching. Right. So my head is down. My chin is tucked. My hand is up. This hand comes up. And my whole goal is I'm going to try to get to that shoulder as fast as I can. Okay? He starts attacking. Try to get to that shoulder as much as I can. I want to try to get in as fast as possible. If I stay out here like this, much better chance of him if he's wild punching, much better chance of me maybe getting a hit on my face. But if he keeps going and I go in fast, I put all my pressure into that shoulder and I start to stuff that attack. So once I get to here, look where I am. I have that arm again. He keeps maybe attacking or punching or something like that, but I can get into my position. Okay? So again, all I want to do is get to that position where I can trap. Okay, so he's striking. into my position. Then I can take a seat, or I can push them up against the wall and hold them there. Now, I know that if you're smaller and they're bigger and stronger, this is going to be more difficult. But I suggest that you just practice this, see if it works. You can make adjustments if you need to. At the end of the day, you have to discern if this is too aggressive, the person is too big and strong, maybe the best thing to do is really try to escape. And again, remember, the whole time we're yelling for help, we're yelling for support. We don't want to do this on our own. Okay, so we've worked on if someone's kind of wild punching at me and how do I protect myself. You can do the mummy, you can do the rhino, but I like to do that spear position. I'm gonna use that same basic position, that spear position, in order to defend myself against a tackle of some sort. The most common attacks from people are either wild punches or just trying to grab and attack. So if someone's trying to tackle me, I'm gonna use the same spear position, but just I'm gonna lower my level, okay? So if he tries to tackle me, again, my hand should be up, I'm just gonna lower my level here. He can try to tackle towards my waist, and I'm just lowering my level, okay? At this point, again, I have contact with the arm. I'm using the arm now, again, to use it to drag it into a trap. So if I have contact with this arm, I can use it to drag across my body, look at this space that I created. I then move in, trapping the arm where it is and getting to my rear control with a trap. So if he's punching me, I'm going in towards the shoulder, getting to that trap, moving in here. If he's tackling me, same position, I just change my level and then I'm in, okay? And if you want to just be dynamic, so if you feel something, change it up, you can strike, you can tap, whatever you want to do, okay? Good. My position. Okay, let's try one more time. He's punching, I'm pushing him. Oh, get into okay? I want you to practice this with a partner if you can, someone who you trust, who can be dynamic. They can grab, they can punch, they can try to tackle, and I want you to work on being dynamic here, using different techniques to get to that rear control with a trap. So one more time, I want to go over, once we get to that trap, what are we doing? We're either, let's pretend that there's a bed here, where, oh, actually, we can use this. So again, what are we doing when we get to this position? Once I get my trap, I'm gonna maybe lean him onto a piece of equipment or a bed of some sort. I might go against a wall and lean him this way and push him and just keep pressure on him. Or worse comes to worse, he's getting really aggressive and he's moving around a lot. I might just drop my weight and try to take a seat. And just hold as much as I can. Okay, so we've looked at some techniques for decreasing someone's will to attack, the opportunity to attack, and their mobility. At this point, I'm gonna let David go. Thank you for your help, my friend. Appreciate it. One thing I wanna note here, in general self-defense, it's super important to be aware of people's hands. Hands are where weapons live. And so if we're not aware of people's hands, they can have things in them that can really hurt us. So that's just one thing I want you to keep in mind. We're not gonna go over any defense against weapons techniques because that gets very, very dangerous. If someone has a weapon, I highly, highly recommend escaping, getting away as fast as possible. That's your best shot. In worst case scenarios, you cannot get away, then you might try that trap of some sort. You might try some sort of control in order to protect yourself. But again, that has to be last resort. You really want to try to escape any time that there is a weapon. But first things first, be aware of it, so you want to watch for people's hands. Okay, hopefully you found some of these techniques helpful. I really, really encourage you to practice these slowly, then more quickly, more dynamically with a friend, a trusted partner of some sort, so that you can use these in a practical way. Start getting them in your muscle memory and have a little protocol to enact when needed. I also encourage you to talk to management or leadership and just let them know some of the techniques you're practicing. Make sure those protocols are appropriate and applicable for your workplace. Thank you so much for participating. I hope you never have to use this stuff, but if you do, please remember your womb: will, opportunity, mobility, and bodily function. Stay safe and stay aware.